Back in 1980, the screams of excitement and terror mixed together as the passengers strapped themselves into the seats of Willard's Whizzer, a beloved roller coaster at the Marriott Amusement Park in Maryland, Virginia. But what should have been a thrilling ride turned into a nightmare for everyone due to the park's authorities' negligence. Sadly, this was not the first time this ride had experienced a catastrophic accident. Join us as we look at the tragic story of Willard's Whizzer and how it caused the death of an innocent boy. Picture this. It's 1976, and Marriott Amusement Park is entering the regional park market with a bang. Not one, but two parks opened their doors to the public, one in Gurnee, Illinois, and the other in Santa Clara, California. It was a bold move, one that hadn't been seen since the likes of Disney. But Marriott was ready for the challenge, and boy did they deliver. They had two high-capacity aero flumes, multiple car rides, flats, and not one but two high-capacity major steel coasters. And let me tell you, these coasters were no joke. The first was the Aero Turn of the century, a custom corkscrew coaster. It was the epitome of a high-thrill coaster, guaranteed to get your heart racing. But for those who preferred a more family-friendly experience, there was the Schwarzkopf Whizzer. It was designed by none other than Anton Schwarzkopf, a prominent figure in the amusement ride industry throughout much of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But what made this coaster so special was its unique bobsled-style cars. Guests would sit in tandem with no restraints, which only added to the excitement. And get this, the cars had onboard motors to pull the train up a spiral lift hill. The first Schwarzkopf Speed Racer model opened in 1971 as Big Bend at Six Flags Over Texas. But the one in Great America was just as thrilling. Originally located in Great America, this coaster boasted a unique design that set it apart from all the others. With its spiral lift and twisting turns, riders were in for a ride they would never forget. And the best part, it was suitable for the whole family to enjoy. But don't be fooled by its family-friendly facade. The Whizzer was not without its share of problems. From the moment it opened, the coaster suffered from blocking issues, and the brakes leading into the station, let's just say they were not always reliable. Riders were often left hanging in suspense as they waited to see if the brakes would hold or if they would collide with the train in front of them. It's hard to believe that such an exhilarating ride like the Whizzer could also be accessible to all, but that's what made it so special. For years, it was the go-to destination for thrill seekers from all over the world. And who could blame them? With its 9-story drop and corkscrew turns that had passengers strapped in upside down, it was a true test of bravery and a marvel of engineering. But as much as the Whizzer had proven its safety over the years, there was always a risk of something going wrong. And that's exactly what happened on a fateful Saturday afternoon. It was supposed to be a day of fun and laughter, screams and thrills. But for those who were there on that fateful day in 1980, it turned into a nightmare they would never forget. As explained earlier, the Willard's Whizzer ride had a notorious reputation for its faulty braking system. Also, when you think of deadly roller coaster accidents, you might envision twists, turns, and high speeds. But in the case of the Willard's Whizzer, it was a seemingly innocent ride that turned deadly in the blink of an eye. The ride's 70 feet height at its peak and 42 miles per hour speed were modest by today's standards. But that didn't stop tragedy from striking. As a 13-year-old teenage boy stepped into the ride, he had no idea he was about to be thrust into a nightmare. The ride was moving slowly, with no indication that anything was amiss. But suddenly, without warning, a second train appeared out of nowhere and collided with the one the boy was boarding. The force of the impact was so great that the boy was thrown from the ride and onto the tracks below. The screams of horror and disbelief were deafening as onlookers watched on in terror. It was a scene straight out of a horror movie, but tragically, it was all too real. As one car hurtled towards another, screams of terror filled the air. Those who had been eagerly waiting in line for their turn on the ride were suddenly thrown into a chaotic scene of destruction and mayhem. The teenage boy died on the spot, and 8 more were seriously injured. The ride operator was in a state of shock, unable to comprehend the devastation that had just occurred. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that the roller coaster's safety systems had failed. The automatic brakes and signals had been breached, leaving the unsuspecting riders at the mercy of a faulty computer. The odds of such a catastrophic event occurring were said to be astronomical, but for those who had been on the ride, the statistics meant nothing. The park tried to salvage the ride's reputation by adding seatbelts and renaming it, but it was too late, and the damage had been done. The once cheerful atmosphere of the park had been replaced by a somber, eerie silence. It was a reminder that even the most innocent-looking rides could turn deadly in an instant. It turns out that Marriott was aware of the problem, but didn't report it as required by law. And that wasn't the only issue with the roller coaster. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, there were at least 11 other instances of collisions in the roller coaster station area that resulted in numerous injuries. The exact number of injuries remains unknown, but the agency confirms that there were no fatalities in the earlier accidents. The CPSC complaint also cited 2 accidents that occurred on the Willard's Whizzer at the Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. Both accidents were just a month apart. One occurred on July 24, 1976, and injured 13 people in total, and the other one injured as many as 18 people. Despite these incidents, the ride continued to operate. Yes, you heard that right. The ride was allowed to operate even after all those huge accidents. And to add insult to injury, the settlement for the death of the 13-year-old boy was a mere $70,000. Can you believe that? It's hard to fathom how a human life can be valued at such a low price. But here's the kicker. This park has quite the history when it comes to death. In 1998, a 25-year-old man met a similar fate when he was hit and killed by the Top Gun roller coaster while trying to retrieve his cap. It's like a curse that just won't go away. You can't help but wonder, what is it about this park that makes it so dangerous? Is it just a string of unfortunate events? Or is there something more sinister at play? It's enough to send shivers down your spine. Thanks to the public hearings conducted by a federal administrative law judge, this dangerous ride was finally taken down. But here's the weird part. The Whizzer is still beloved by fans and even made it to the Golden Tickets Awards Top 50 Steel Coasters list for multiple years. While the specific ride is no longer with us in California, you can still experience this Schwarzkopf classic roller coaster today at Six Flags Great America. It's hard to believe that a ride with such a troubling past could still be enjoyed by so many people. It just goes to show that even the most dangerous rides can capture our hearts and leave us wanting more. Would you ever want to ride on a roller coaster with a potential braking system defect? Let us know in the comments section down below. Do you like these videos? Make sure you subscribe to the channel to witness other roller coaster tragedies. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.